Philip's expression was extremely cold, and he gritted his teeth and said, "You guys, what are you trying to say? If you don't get to the point, don't blame me for driving you out." Yanzheng smiled and said, "Big brother, the old master is eccentric. When he died, the Jiyu family's assets were divided by 50% for you and 25% for me and the youngest. What do you say you want so much for? Your family doesn't have a son either. When daughter gets married, it's the water thrown out. This property can't be cheaper for outsiders?" Speaking of this, Yanzheng looked at Linan again and said with a smile, "What's more, my sister-in-law is not too old and so beautiful. In the future, if eldest brother is gone, how could she stay alone for the rest of her life? She must remarry. At that time, she will take away part of Gu's assets. We cannot bear to care about half of the assets of the family. In the end, they will fall into the hands of outsiders with your wife and daughter?" When Linan heard this, he was not only angry but also humiliated. Tears burst into his eyes immediately. Sarah also exploded in anger, clenched her fists and looked resentful. Needless to say, Philip's entire body trembled, his original bloodless face became paler, his whole person was shaky, and he might die almost at any time. Charlie couldn't stand it anymore. While reaching out to hold Philip's swaying body, he shouted with an extremely gloomy expression, "You bastards, it's a bit too deceitful." When Yanzheng, Yangang and others saw Charlie when they came in, they didn't pay attention to him. They came over today, and all their goals were focused on the 3 members of the Jiyu family, and they treated Charlie and the other servants as nothing. However, they did not expect that this young man would dare to challenge them here, and even said that they were ass bastards, suddenly became angry. The Jiyu family in Eastcliff is second only to the Su family and the Wade family in strength, and the total assets are also above the trillion level. Even if Yanzheng and Yangang each have only 25% of the Jiyu family's assets, but if each person puts it out separately, are also the top rich, crushing those familiar people on the rich list now is nothing to say. So, how can they accept that an unknown junior yells at them here? Therefore, Yanzheng was immediately furious and pointed at Charlie and shouted coldly, "Boy, do you know who I am? Talking to me like that, do you have a long life?" Charlie sneered and said, "Of course I know who you are, asshole. You are asshole number 1, the guy next to you is asshole number 2, and the little *** who just clamored, must be asshole number 3, the rest if anyone wants to sort, speak early, lest they miss the top numbers." Yanzheng and Yangang are both heirs of the Jiyu family, and they have also received high-end education since they were young. Both are typical beasts in dress, trained under elite education. In other words, such people seem to be very educated, rarely interact with others and do not speak dirty words. In fact, their bones have long been broken. Take Yanzheng as an example. Someone used to toast him at the dinner table. The height of the other party's wineglass was slightly higher than his wineglass. He was smiling at the time as if he didn't care, but he immediately asked the bodyguard to directly after the meal. Forced to stop the opponent's car, pulled the opponent out of the car, and broke his hands. This is just a small matter. In fact, Yanzheng closed his upper and lower lips, and he didn't know how many people were ruined or even destroyed. At this moment, Charlie was so disrespectful to them, making him almost furious. However, he was also a little confused about Charlie's origin, so he was a little bit puzzled. This person was a guest at Philip's family. He naturally knew the strength of Gu's family, but he dared to talk to himself like this. Is it possible that he didn't know what he didn't know, the background? The same goes for Yangang. If the other party knows his identity and dared to speak wildly here, he must have 2 brushes. However, Guang, who was young, did not have this self-knowledge. He scolded angrily, "Damn, who are you, kid? Do you know who you are talking to? We are from the Jiyu family. Do UFC King want to die?" Charlie glanced at him, and said coldly, "You just barked at Sarah, right? Well, since you like to bark like a dog so much, it's better to kneel on the ground and learn 2 dog barking. If I am satisfied, I can still let you go. FCKU. Guang was immediately furious, UFC King seek death. Do you know who I am? I am the second son of the Gu family. You dare to be disrespectful to me, I will kill you in a minute. At this time, a young man who was slightly older than Guang and had a calmer temper said, "This brother, today's affairs are our Gu family's housework. Please don't interfere." The one speaking is Yanzheng's son, Liang, and the oldest male in the Gu family's grandson. Sarah is a girl, so he is considered the eldest grandson of the Gu family. Charlie looked at Liang and said indifferently, "Whenever something happens, just talk about it. Don't rely on the number of people here, just thinking about bullying fewer people." Here barking and clamoring shamelessly, the Gu family can be regarded as a great family of Eastcliff. Don't just show up with the lack of education. You. As soon as Guang heard this, he gritted his teeth and wanted to come forward. Liang stopped him, then gave Charlie a cold look, and then said to Yanzheng beside him, "Dad, let's stop talking nonsense and get to the point." Yanzheng looked at Charlie coldly, and made up his mind that no matter who this kid is, after his business is resolved today, he must pay the price of blood to let him know Gu family, it's not that he can speak freely. Insulting like that, nobody dares to do so.